All right, welcome everyone and Happy New Year. So good to see you again in 2023. We made it and we are live on the Leaders Priority Meetup. You're welcome and so glad to see you today. Okay, so we are going to start in a moment, and this is a Leaders Priority Meetup. I mean, we've I think all of us have been on this platform before. For those of us listening to the recording, we meet once every month, the first Thursday of the month at noon, 12 noon West Africa time. And this is just a gathering of leaders where we come together to learn, to grow, to have discussions around topics that are relevant to leaders at the time. Because we believe that it is important that we develop ourselves as leaders, because leadership begins with us. So self-leadership is really the most important form of leadership. We need to learn to lead ourselves before we can lead others. So this platform, our focus is mainly on self-leadership. It is on developing our capabilities as leaders. So today we're going to be discussing around a topic that I find really interesting and really relevant for leaders in this day, in this time. And I'm going to be sharing from some slides, then we can have discussions after this. So let's say maybe we should go ahead and introduce ourselves once again before we start, for the benefit of us. I know everyone, but let's just briefly introduce ourselves. If you can come on video, that would be great. Just tell us who you are, where you're joining from. So you can unmute yourselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Ifeanyi.
Okay.
I'm joining you from Lagos. I used to work in operations banking, but I'm data scientist, building skills in data science and tech. Just finding a meeting point between tech and finance. I'm here to learn, build my self-leadership skill.
Awesome. You're welcome. Yeah, Dr. Joshua.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm joining in from Benin. I work in a specialist hospital as a medical intern, and I just love being here to improve myself. Since there's room for improvement, it's the largest room in the world, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris, and I'm so much glad to be here once more again. It's a wonderful platform by which I was really, tremendously, being equipped, I could say, through this meeting that we used to do normally. And I am into tech. I'm into tech and also into leadership and all of that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, and great to have you all here with me in the Zoom room. So we're going to have a really fantastic discussion. Let me share the slides I have for us today. I'm excited about this topic because it's something I've been growing in for the past 2 years. And it's really going to be of value to all of us. Give me a moment. Okay. Please confirm you can see my slide.
Yeah, we can see your slide.
Awesome. All right. So So today we're going to be talking about mental fitness, building our mental muscles in 2023. And this presentation is under the body of work called Positive Intelligence by one of my coaches, Shazad Shamin. It is really my privilege to have met and been mentored by him for the past 2 years. And I hope you're going to find this as interesting and of great value like I did and like I do currently. So let's go. Okay, so I want you to just look at this picture and imagine you're the one seated at that point on the edge of the river. Just, if you like, you can close your eyes and just picture yourself sitting right there on the edge of the river. And I would like you to share with us, if you can unmute yourself, share with me what you're feeling. Let's just imagine you're the one seated there. How would you be feeling? What are you feeling as you're sitting there? What's your state of mind? So Joshua, tell me.
Well, for me, I would say it's a state of calm and maybe a little bit of retrospection. Calm, easiness. That's what I can say. If I were to be in that situation.
All right. Thank you. Chris, how about you? Tell us.
All right, Ma. Firstly, being in that level of atmosphere, what I could say is that, first of all, there would be a level of which the person will have a concentration, and focus. And firstly, mentally, the person will be more able to, think about so many things. And also, you have to have a strong mind by which you can, stay in that level, because some people cannot stay, just alone in that level or that such area. So firstly, what I could say, just mostly it has to do so much with mental, with your mentality and or mindset, when someone in that level alone.
Right. Thank you. Really, and thank you for the perspective, Joshua and Chris. Really, calmness, stillness, focus, introspection. There, you're able to still your mind when you're in such an environment at that time. So you have to have a certain level of self-command to be in a space where you can just calm your mind and give yourself space to reflect, to think. And that is what mental fitness, when we practice it consistently, that's how we have this inner stillness, this calm, this focus that helps us to go through the different challenges that we face in life. Okay, so let's go. Let's see what is mental fitness. Let's try to define it. Mental fitness, it is your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. And it shows in how quickly you're able to make that shift from negativity to positivity. So when we practice mental fitness and we get to a point where we're able to make that shift really quickly. And mental fitness, we have seen it impacts our peak performance. It helps us to perform at our maximum capacity. It gives us peace of mind. And of course, when your mind is fit, when your brain is functioning, you have mental wellness. And it also helps in our relationships. So helps us to build better and stronger relationships when we practice it. All right, so this work is based on research, and it's a combination of research in these 4 areas: positive psychology, neuroscience, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science. So the work is research-based. Research has been done and culminated into what we call the positive intelligence. Okay, so the research includes results from hundreds of CEOs and their teams, Stanford students. Shazad Shamin, he is a professor at Stanford University, and he's done extensive research with his students and with CEOs. He's an executive coach as well to CEOs, Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies. The work includes research from world-class athletes and over 500 participants from different countries. So it is not tons and tons of research that is still ongoing. The research is still being done. And of course, families and forums. Okay. So this work, Shazad summarized it in his book called Positive Intelligence, which has been translated into over 20 languages. If you can, I will really recommend that book, Positive Intelligence, because it really shows us how to build our mental muscles and how we can become, stronger mentally, more fit when we practice mental fitness. Now, just like physical fitness, we need to develop our minds. And the work is also based on ideas from the power of factor analysis. Okay, factor analysis really is a means of discovering the root cause of something. And it results in radical simplification of problems, of challenges. Imagine when you can break down a problem into the root causes, into really the different components, it becomes easier to resolve that problem. And of course, the example is from the colors. We know there are 3 primary colors, although right now, science is saying there are more than 3 primary colors, but we know that there are 3 primary colors. And from these 3 colors comes thousands and thousands of other colors. So a problem is the same thing. A problem can be made up of a root, and then out of that root stem different branches. So if you can identify the roots of the problem, the roots of the challenge, then we can simplify that problem and resolve it quickly. So the result of this factor analysis led to the discovery that we only need 3 core muscles to build our mental fitness, just 3 core muscles. And these muscles, they are the saboteur interceptor muscles. I'm going to tell you what that is, what saboteur is. And we have the sage muscles, and then we have the self-command muscles, which everything culminates down to. Now, let's move into this. You see, our brains are made up of 2 parts. We all have a brain, and there are 2 sides of the brain. So 2 sides living in one, we can say 2 in 1. One side of the brain, we call it the saboteur brain. That's where limiting beliefs and all sorts of negativity resides. And the other part is the sage brain. That's where we have our maybe our superpowers, wisdom, motivation, the strength to carry us, resilience, everything resides in the sage part of the brain. And we've seen that there are actually 10 saboteurs or 10 limiting beliefs, 10 factors that hold us back from experiencing fulfillment and happiness. And we've also seen that there are 5 sage powers, just 5. Imagine 10 to 5. Can you picture that ratio? That means for every 2 saboteurs, you need 1 sage. That sounds like a lot. So 10 limiting beliefs, 10 limiting, 10 sets, 10 negatives result and 5 positives. So we all have that. Let's look at what saboteur interceptor really means. So how do we intercept the saboteur? First of all, we need to know what the saboteurs are. We all have in us 10 saboteurs. And the master saboteur is called the judge. If you look at that picture, the judge is that number 1 saboteur or number 1 limiting belief, the one that we've known all our lives. And sometimes the judge comes in maybe like a small voice or maybe not so small voice, pulling us down, pressure, putting us under pressure to perform, telling us stories about how we cannot accomplish the goals that we have set to accomplish. That's where fear comes from, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of not being good enough. So we all have that inner critic or inner judge that criticizes us, that, is so hard on us all the time. And let me know if you have that critic, if you've experienced that as a person in your life. Just raise your hand. Let me see. Raise your hand. Let's see. I know I have. It's a constant. It's a constant. So we all have that inner critic. So if you have it, give me a reaction. Raise your hand. Thank you, Joshua. All right. So the judge is the master saboteur or the master limiting belief. Yes, Chris. So we all have that judge, and we hear it all the time, especially when you're about to step into a big role or do something big. It will start telling you, oh, who do you think you are that you can accomplish this? What if you fail? What if you make a mistake? What if they laugh at you? What if, you don't really get the results that it comes at us powerfully. All right, so the judge has accomplices, 9 accomplices, and we call them the accomplice saboteurs or accomplice limiting beliefs. These 9 saboteurs, they are the controller, hyperachiever, restless, stickler, pleaser, hypervigilant, avoider, victim, and our good friend at the bottom, hyper-rational. Let me try to close this. So those are what did I do? So these are the accomplice saboteurs. Let me try to take this back. Let me take this back away from, so that we can all see. Okay. Make this better. Okay, so we have an assessment that we take. The assessment will give you your top saboteurs. And I'm going to give us a link to take that assessment after this call. So you can take the assessment to know your top 9 saboteurs. Remember, the judge is ever present. The judge is there. So we need to know who are the accomplices of the judge. in our lives. And this is what the sample results show. This person is a real person, is an executive, Sarah. And Sarah's top saboteur is a stickler, the stickler, followed by the hyperachiever, then the restless, and the pleaser, the controller, hypervigilant, hyper-rational, victim, and avoider. Okay, so I have taken this assessment, and my top saboteur is I have into silence them, how to silence the voice of the top 3 saboteurs. Then we can also learn how to handle the remaining 6 saboteurs. So mental fitness of the stickler. This will be perfectionism. And the characteristics of the stickler, like we see, punctual, methodical, perfectionist, those are the characteristics. It shows you the thoughts and feelings of the saboteur. So when we take this show up, and when you know how they show up, you'll be able to intercept it when it starts to show up. All right, so we said before, there are 2 sides of the brain. Our brains are made up of the saboteur brain and the sage brain. So the brain is actually 2 in 1. And in the sage brain, sage is part of the left brain. And the medical jargon and all that, I'm not going to go into it. Joshua, pardon me. So the sage brain is where we have, is on the right brain, the right side of the brain. And that's where we have positivity, we have empathy, we have motivational factors, and they're both good. The saboteur brain is not really bad. It motivates us through negative emotions. Negative emotions like fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, and insecurity. And we're going to see that it's not negative emotions. They are not really as bad as we think they are. Okay, so the sage brain can tell us, okay, if you can work hard, manage the stress, and still be successful. So it tells us that the saboteur brain tells us that, but all those things are lies. When you look at it, imagine going back to the picture we saw at the beginning of our presentation. That person seated at the waterfront doesn't look like he's stressed or is feeling all these negative emotions, but he's at peace, he's fulfilled. Okay. Now, the sage side of the brain motivates us. Our sage motivates us through positive emotions like empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose. So we need the 2 to be balanced, because without the negative, there cannot be a positive, right? Life is full of both. Now, the saboteur brain might generate success, true. If you see people who, top executives or professionals, they work really hard, they manage stress, burnout, and everything, but they are not necessarily happy. So you can find someone that seemingly is successful, works hard, at the top of their careers, but because they are living mostly in the saboteur brain, they are not usually happy. That's what happens. Happiness, when we focus more on our saboteur brain, we are not happy. Now, the sage brain generates our highest success and sustained happiness. Right. So there are two perspectives. There's a saboteur perspective, the sage perspective, and we can choose where we want to be most of the time. So if you're on the saboteur side most of the time, that you experience negative emotions most of the time, you could be successful, you can generate success, but it's not necessarily happy, and of course, no fulfillment. Okay. All right. So I want us to answer this question. Are negative emotions good for you? Are negative emotions good for you? Let me share it briefly. Let me know. What do you think? Are negative emotions good for you? Hi, welcome, Armstrong. Good to see you. Yeah, Chris says no. No, negative emotions are not good. All right, so what do you think? Are negative emotions good for you? Leaders, let's talk. Ifeanyi, what do you think? Okay, yes, life happens in two halves. All right. Okay, so let me continue with the share. Life happens in, yes, Armstrong says, depending on how you manage it. Yes. All right. So let's continue. Are negative emotions good for us? Is pain good for you? What do you think? Is pain good for you? Yes or no? I'm sure the answer is the same. Pain is negative. So let's look at it. Imagine you put your hand on the hot stove. See, how long do you think you can keep your hand on the hot stove? I need someone to unmute themselves and let me know. Armstrong, tell me, how long can you keep your hand on the hot stove like that?
Maybe a second.
A second. Because the moment your hand touches it, the pain, you quickly remove it. All right, so maybe a second. So negative emotions are only helpful for like 1 second as alert signal. So when you feel the negative emotion, it's an alert that something is happening and we can handle it. We need to remove our hands from the hot stove. That is what positive intelligence helps us to do, to remove our hand from the hot stove as quickly as possible and shift to maybe put it on ice or whatever we need to relieve the pain and get better. So staying in negative emotions hurts our abilities to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, creativity, or laser focus action. Now, grief is not part of this. Grief is, when we talk of negative emotion, grief is on another level. So that's another part of this work that we deal with. But grief is not part of this because grief is a mixture of different emotions and different states, and it's also necessary. All right, so we can't stay too long in negative emotions because it's going to hurt us terribly. Now, negative emotions, they come from our saboteur brain. That's where they come from. So we need to move away from the saboteur perspective and shift to sage as quickly as possible. Now, let's look at the next muscle, the other muscle that we need to build, which is the sage muscle. The sage is it lives in the part of the brain that is associated with positive emotions, peace, and calm clear-headed focus, creativity, big picture, and it operates from, we all can choose to operate from the sage perspective for most of the time. It depends on how we handle it. Remember, the hot stove. So keep that picture of the hot stove in your mind as we go through this presentation, because sometimes it's necessary. Okay, so the sage perspective tells us that every circumstance, every situation or outcome can be turned into a gift and opportunity. Depends on how we look at it. Every outcome or circumstance, it can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. Okay. Give me a second, please. Okay. So let me tell us a story about it. This is from the Chinese. I don't know if it's true or not. The story is told. This story was told us by Shazad, and I looked at it from different perspectives. You tell me when you listen to the story. So the story is told of an old farmer who had a teenage son, and he also had a beautiful stallion. And the farmer entered the stallion into their annual country fair competition. So when he did that, the stallion won the first prize, and everybody gathered to celebrate him, congratulate him. And when they asked him how he feels about the win, he said, "Who knows what is good and what's bad?" So puzzled, the neighbors, they just left him. Let's leave him. He doesn't know what he's saying. So the following week, some thieves heard about the stallion's increased value. Of course, the stallion has won first prize. That means the value of the stallion, the horse, has gone up. So the thieves came and stole the stallion. His horse was stolen, and the neighbors came to, sympathize with him, to commiserate with him, and they asked him what he has to say. And he said, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" Several days later, the stallion escaped from the thieves. He was stolen. The stallion escaped and made his way back to the farmer. So the stallion came back home a few days later, and then the neighbors came celebrating with him. They brought him gifts and everything, and his neighbors came excited, congratulating him. They were all happy for him. They asked him to say something, and he said, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" By now, they're getting accustomed to him saying that. So a few weeks later, his son, remember he had a son, his son was riding the stallion, so he fell and broke his leg, and his leg was fractured. So when they came to visit him, to check on him, he said the same thing. Who knows what is good and what is bad? And then the following week, the Imperial Army marched through the village and enlisting the young boys and everybody, the young boys that were capable of joining the army or fighting the war. That was when the Chinese were fighting their civil war. So when they came to the farmer and they checked on his son, they wanted to enlist his son into the army. And they discovered that the boy's leg was broken and he was crippled. Now, they could not enlist the boy into the army. So the old farmer's son was spared due to his fracture. The neighbors, they no longer came to commiserate with him, to sympathize with him, because they know what he was going to say. By now, they had gotten used to his response. Who knows what is good and what is bad? Now, the moral of the story is bad things happen, good things happen, but everything happens for a reason. So sometimes we may look at it as negative, but it can be turned into a gift and an opportunity if we have the right perspective. So that's the moral of the story. And we need to evaluate everything that happens to us, our circumstances, using the sage perspective. What is the gift that I can get from this situation, from this challenge? What are the gifts? What can I learn from it? What can I derive from this situation? It's looking bad. It's looking like it's bad, but is it really? Okay, so which perspective is really true? Then saboteur says this is bad. Sage says this is a gift. Which one is true? Whichever you believe. So it depends on your perspective. Like I think Ifeanyi said it, it depends on how you look, and Armstrong said it, it depends on how you look at it, you know. So whichever one you believe becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. Now let's quickly look at the next muscle that we need to build. Remember, we need just 3 core muscles to maintain our mental fitness. The self-command muscle. And the self-command muscle, really, it's the muscle that helps us to shift from saboteur to sage. And we build these muscles by what we call PQ reps. PQ reps. And PQ reps, they're just 10 seconds focus on one of our 5 senses. Now, I'm going to stop the video briefly and we're going to do some PQ reps, okay? Armstrong is familiar with this. He has been through the 6 weeks mental fitness program, so he knows, but let's practice it. So, the different ways, we have different types of PQ reps, but PQ reps can be done in as little as 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, or even 15 minutes. Or if you can just dedicate 15 minutes a day to PQ repping, that's going to help you tremendously to build your saboteur muscles. I mean, your sage muscles. All right. So now let's do some PQ reps with the sense of touch. I'm going to use the sense of touch. Look at me carefully. Now, there are different ways of using our sense of touch. So simply, let's just do this. You can just rub 2 fingers together. If you're seeing what I'm doing, just rub 2 fingers together with such attention that you can feel the fingerprint ridges. Follow me. Such attention that you can feel the fingerprint ridges in both hands. Now, rub the fingertips of one hand against the fingertips of the other hand gently and feel the fingerprint ridges on both hands. Like, you can close your eyes or can look at me, just follow. Okay. Now, just rub the fingerprints, the fingertips of one hand against against the palm of the other hand. Fingertips of one hand against the palm of the other hand, in such a way, with such attention that you can feel the ridges in your palm. You can feel the ridges, the lines on your palm. Okay, you can do the same for the other hand. Gently, gently feel the ridges in your hand. And that is it. All right. So that is a PQ rep. And that was just, I think that was about 30 seconds. I didn't time it, maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute. But if you do that, if you did that, you followed me and you did that, let me hear your thoughts. How did you feel while you were doing that? How did you feel? So I need someone to unmute and let us know.
Okay. Well, for me, it helps to take the focus off other things that might be distractive at the moment and sort of rewired my thinking. And after which, it was like the clutters of thoughts in my mind just went off, and I have a free thoughts to process whatever I need to process going forward. But the summary is that it helped me to focus and get distractions out of my thoughts. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Indeed, that is it. If I may say, state of concentration, consciousness, really, that is it. Because when we do PQ reps, even if it's 2 seconds, 10 seconds, at that moment there is a shift because your focus is on that particular sense you're working on. You can do PQ reps with your sense of touch, with your breath. I like in the morning, I wash my hands every morning. Before I brush my teeth, I wash my hands with soap. It's a way for me of doing PQ reps because I feel the water on my hand. When I feel the water on my hand, it calms me down and I focus on that. Okay, so that's another way of doing PQ reps, the PQ reps with the touch. You can do PQ reps with your breath, take some deep breaths, and just even 3 deep breaths, you can just watch the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe and your stomach as you breathe. So there are different PQ reps. If you go through our 6 weeks mental fitness program, we have an app, we use an app, and the app has kind of like a gym where you can go to the gym and take, and do your you do your PQ rep exercises. There are different PQ reps that you can do using the app. And when you're in the program, you get access to that gym. So every day, 15 minutes a day recommended, you do your PQ reps. And that helps us to refocus. Let's go back to our presentation. And that's how we build self-command, our self-command muscles, by PQ repping. And consistent PQ repping helps us to build strong mental muscles. So it's really very simple. If you're feeling negative emotions, stop, because you're in saboteur mode, recognize it, and that is what we do. Stop. When we stop, it means we're recognizing that we're in saboteur mode, and then we intercept this saboteur by doing some PQ reps. And when we do PQ reps, we quiet or silence the saboteurs, and then we activate our sage, because when we're able to focus, we can think clearer and we can see a different perspective. So that's what PQ repping does for us. Takes us out of saboteur mode and into sage mode. So when we do that, we activate at the sage perspective that every problem can be converted into a gift and an opportunity. So we are able to see the gifts and the opportunities at that time. Now, we generate the gifts by using our sage powers, and sage powers are like things like empathy, curiosity, creativity, calm, and clear-headed action. Okay, so question is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage response, even though we are in a situation of challenges? Is it really possible? Let's say something is coming at you, the problem is really tough, you're in, like we say, hot soup, and you're trying to shift from that negative situation to a sage response. Is it really possible? And the answer is yes, but the speed and depth of that shift depends on how strong your mental muscles are. So when we practice mental fitness and we do PQ reps regularly, I've just shown you simple PQ reps using touch, using your hands. There are different ways to do PQ reps. So when we do that frequently, we build our mental strength, and then we can quickly shift from saboteur to sage when the situation arises. The lasting positive change requires just 20% insight and 80% mental muscle. Insight, that's what you know, what you really know. So the body of work, when you want to build your mental muscles, all you need is practice. You need to practice at least 15 minutes every day to build your mental muscles, and just 20% insight. But the insight is required. So success requires initial practice. And an analogy, you cannot defeat a gang of 10 bandits by sending one new fighter per day for 100 days. No, that is not possible to defeat a gang of bandits. You need just 15 minutes a day for about 6 to 8 weeks to build your mental muscles. So if you practice 15 minutes every day, 6 to 8 weeks, consistency is the key here. You build a strong mental practice. So, but after this presentation, like I said, I'm going to send to us a link to take the saboteur assessment so that you get to know what your top 9 saboteurs are and how you can deal with them. All right, because they're going to send you, a write-up, a report on how you can understand the saboteurs and deal with them. But if you want to get into really building your mental muscles and getting into the gym through our app, we have a 6 weeks program that you can enroll into. And every weekend, watch a 1-hour video from Shazad. Shazad is the founder of this body of work, Positive Intelligence. So every weekend, Saturdays, the videos are released on Saturdays, so you get to watch that video to learn more. Remember, you need 20% insight, but that is where you get your 20% insight, by watching the videos. Of course, 15 minutes a day of practice using the app. Of course, you will get 8 chapters, the first 8 chapters of the Positive Intelligence book. All right, you get that. And you can also continue practicing through the app for an entire year. Once you enroll in the 6-week program, you have access for an entire year. So you can just go to the gym, the mental fitness gym, and practice your PQ reps. And my gift for us this beginning of year, if you want to enroll in the program, the cost is $1,000. But because I'm a mental fitness coach, I have an opportunity to give scholarships to a few people. So you can get it for $100. I can give 90% scholarship. It helps me to build my practice. The reason for the scholarship is so that I can build my practice and also, get some testimonials, people who are doing the work, who have gone through the program. So that is why I'm offering you these gifts at the beginning of the year. Okay, you can reach out. All you need, the details are on the website. I'm going to send it to us again and post it on the platform. The deadline to register for this first session of the year is on Tuesday, January 10th. And the first video will be available on Saturday, January 14th. So you will need at least one accountability partner. Maybe if you can find a friend to join you so that you can hold each other accountable, that would be fantastic. Thanks. Okay, so there we have it. Thank you. Now, let's do more PQ reps before I post the links in the chat. Let's do some PQ reps and then I will take questions. Okay, so now close your eyes with me. Just close your eyes. If you're sitting, sit up straight. Your shoulders straight up. Your feet planted on the floor, not crossed. And then just take 3 deep breaths with me. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth gently. And just put your your right hand on your chest and your left hand on your stomach. And feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest and your stomach while you breathe. Okay, now let's do some PQ repping with touch again. And just rub 2 fingertips together with such attention that you feel the fingerprint ridges. Now, rub the fingertips of one hand against the fingertips of the other hand. Gently feel the fingerprint ridges. And then rub the fingertips of one hand against the palm of another hand until you feel the lines in your palm. Okay. Now relax and take 2 deep breaths. Inhale in and out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, so that is a PQ rep. You know, some people, when they can do PQ reps and fall asleep, or when they are in the PQ gym and doing PQ reps, they fall asleep. So it's that's powerful. It calms you down in such a way that you can even fall asleep. Okay, so there we have it. Let me know, do you have any questions? What are questions? Any questions, thoughts?
Okay, I wanted to say something about
Mhm.
2 halves. Something funny happened to me on the 2nd of January. So
Mhm.
funny, I can't quite remember what happened. So my wife wasn't too fine. We took her to the hospital. So while
Okay.
they were attending, the nurse had attended to her. The doctor had prescribed medication.
Mhm.
Okay, before they prescribed medication, something happened. So I was all the way calm. I went to my laptop and I turned on my laptop, and behold, in the rush of moving my wife to the hospital, the screen had broken. The first thing that came to my
Oh,
mind was, oh my goodness, I was upset. I was I was upset that I knew, and just like you said, I labeled it immediately. You're upset. I found out I was talking very quickly to the nurse. I needed the medication. I needed to go. I had to walk out to the pharmacy. It was there I began to calm down, and I remember that one of the things I did to calm down was, as I stepped out of the pharmacy, I saw a beggar. I'm not in the mood. I had to consciously look for the next beggar and give. It was just a simple token. It wasn't much, just to be sure that I was in charge of myself before I went back to
yeah.
because I labeled it and I realized I was upset at that point. Although I figured it, I sorted out the laptop, but sometimes negative occurrences can happen and you won't be able to catch yourself. It takes a while to get a grip on yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It takes it can, like you said, remember the hot stove, right? That's how negative emotions, that's what they do to us. It's like your hand is literally on a hot stove at that point in time. And sometimes you can find things start happening within you. Your breath becomes labored faster. And if you're feeling intense anger, if you've ever felt intense anger, it's like you're burning inside. You understand? So that's how negative emotions are. Our hand is literally on the hot stove. So we need to recognize that and make a shift as quickly as possible. Usually the self-command using PQ reps helps us to make that shift quickly. When we've practiced it for a while, maybe if you give yourself the 6 to 8 weeks recommended of practice, there's practice and insights, learning about all this, about the saboteurs, learning how to intercept your judge, and learning how to move from saboteur to sage, how to use your inner wisdom to counter your inner critic, right? Once you've done that for 6 to 8 weeks, you fall into kind of like a routine. A number of people have gone through the program, and Armstrong is here. Armstrong has gone through the program. Maybe Armstrong will be able to tell us a little bit about his experience and how that helped him. Yes, Armstrong, would you mind?
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, let me confess that I've not been regular now. But when I started the program, it was very, very rewarding, I must say. It helped me to really focus, to be present, That was one thing I really noticed, just being present and being aware instead of your mind being on 1,000 things at the same time. And I also find it very calming, as a way of just calming you, that particularly when you're are anxious about a lot of things. Yeah, it helps in calming you down a lot. And also the recognizing your sabotage is one interesting thing. That there are things I didn't even see as sabotage, but going through the program, you begin to like, okay, this actually is sabotage. And once you recognize something, you are able to deal with this. So that's a bit of my experience. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And
Hello?
it's something that
It looks like my network
yeah.
has gone off.
Thank you. Okay. No, I
No?
can still hear you. I can hear you.
Hello?
I still can hear you. Okay. Right. So really, that's something. And there's something about the program that we learned. We learned something we call self-empathy. Self-empathy.
Okay, I just said thank you.
All right. Yes, I was hearing you all the time.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share.
All right. Pleasure. Okay, so we learned self-empathy, and we learned how to make a shift from that, self-criticism to self-empathy through labeling. Okay, I'm sure has gone. So it's a fantastic program, and I recommend it if you can. 6 to 8 weeks is really a great time to begin the year developing your mental muscles, so that as you move into the year, you'll be able to handle negativity you'll be capable of handling negativity and challenges as they come your way. I'm not saying that you're not able to do that right now, but the speed with which you'll be able to shift from negativity to positivity is going to increase. And of course, you'll have more focus, more peace. It will improve your performance and relationships, because sometimes we have conflicts in relationships because our saboteurs are different. So when we can recognize saboteurs in others, all right, especially people we relate with frequently, when we can recognize their saboteurs, we will experience more empathy towards them, and we'll be able to relate with them better. Than imagine you're in a relationship with another person, and their saboteurs. And one thing about saboteurs is, once your saboteur is activated, if you don't shift to sage quickly, you will trigger the saboteurs in another person. So both of you would start functioning with your left brain at that time, the saboteur brain, and you start seeing a war of the saboteurs until you learn to shift to sage and really help the other person to shift to sage. Then you will find something like a common ground and peace. So this work actually helps in, strengthening our relationships as well. If we do it with focus and we concentrate on the positives, then it's really going to help us to build better and stronger relationships. And as leaders, it will help us to reduce burnout and stress. So that's one thing. And that is what I have for us today. I don't know if there are questions, comments on Facebook. I haven't been checking. And if there are comments, let me quickly check. Facebook and see if there are comments and questions. So, but if you have a comment, a contribution, you can please share. Questions, you can share.
Yeah, there's a contribution here.
Okay, yes, Joshua, please.
Okay, so the thing about
That means
gaining mastery of, okay, can I be heard?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so the thing about gaining mastery, especially when it has to do with positive intelligence, emotions, and all of that, is for many people, they might be pressured to think that they can gain all of this in just a short period, but some of these things take time. And for somebody like me, going through or growing through this phase, I realized that when you have learned about it or when you have studied about it, when you get the first opportunity to learn, you might not even know. Because after the incident has happened, after you have expressed a negative emotion, then you now realize that I just expressed a negative emotion. Then you begin to think to yourself, no, I should have done this, or I just missed it, I just messed up, and all of that. So going through that phase, by the time you have another opportunity, there's a negative emotion thrown at you, then you are better positioned to handle it compared to the first time when you missed it. So it might still happen that even at the second time you might miss it again, but it will not be as bad as the first time. So gradually. Then thank you very much for the exercise. I think it's one thing I've learned today, and thank you for this session.
Awesome. Right, you're so correct, Joshua, because sometimes it's after, I think, is Armstrong here? Yeah, Armstrong had that issue a lot, if you can recall, when he was going through the program. It's after you have, reacted, to the negative emotions, the negative situations, that you now remember that, oh, I should have, I could have, I would have. That happens to us all the time. But like Joshua says, constant practice will help us to, respond faster in the future. So when we practice self-empathy and reframing, we are able to reframe the situation, because at that point, your judge will start coming at you. Oh, you see, you think you're building your mental muscles. Oh, you think that critic will come again. So we need to learn to intercept it. So that is the work we are doing with positive intelligence. It's a constant practice. And when we do it repeatedly, repetition builds habits. And when we build good habits, we develop mastery over time. So habits are built through repetition, and mastery comes when we do those habits successfully. Now, that is so true. That's so true. Thanks for sharing, Joshua. I didn't see any comments, any thoughts on Facebook. So if there are no comments, no thoughts, right. So I'd like to say thank you once again for being a part of this session today. So I'm going to share the last slide quickly so you can, if you didn't get the link, you didn't see the link, you can see it. We have a 6 weeks mental fitness program commencing on January 14th. So registration is ongoing. You can contact me, send me a private message, and I would respond. I'm not seeing these. Okay, so those are the details. So you can click on that link click on the link. It's posted on Facebook, it's posted in the chat. Click on that link to learn more about the program and the benefits, and also register and give me a call if you need any clarifications. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of our session today. I want to say thank you for joining. Thank you to all those who joined on Facebook and right here in the Zoom room. I'm always happy and excited to have you share this moment, this time with me. And of course, it's always a time of learning and growth for me. And I look forward to seeing you next month. And of course, we have our Facebook group. Feel free to share your thoughts, comments in the Facebook group. Our next Leaders Priority is going to be on February 2nd. February 2nd. I look forward to having a guest with me in that session. And I also welcome suggestions. Maybe there are some topics that you think are going to be of benefit to you and others. I'm open to those suggestions. I'm going to post a link for you to give us some suggestions on topics that you feel will be beneficial or will add value to you this year, so you can give us that feedback, and we will make sure we cover those topics to help us grow. This is our year of exponential growth. So get ready to grow, get ready to be your best self this year. And thank you once again for joining me on this Leaders Priority, this first one for the year, first one, yes. So I look forward to seeing you February 2nd and speaking with you in between, or you can send me an email and I will respond. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day and rest of the week.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. We really appreciate it. And I just wanted to ask a question, please, before you close. Can you please have a platform by which you can help us to be in one platform, like maybe Telegram group or maybe WhatsApp group, at least, so that we can get at least, because mostly I'm just sometimes after the meeting is a beautiful one, and then suddenly we just disappear. No one's going to get some. Yes, unless we go to your inbox, and I know that we can get some more information if you can have a platform apart Facebook, because some of us are not always on Facebook anyway. But at least there's some kind of platform that will gather us together, which is going to be more effective.
All right. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that suggestion. Yes, Chris. Yes, that is most welcome. And yes, noted.